What's happening, everybody? What's happening? Come on in. Those of you that can, come on in and speak to me as you come in. Speak to me as you come in. What up, though? I want to see you. What up, though? Okay, let's go back. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Speak to me as you come in. What up, though? Let me know where you're logging in from. Let me know where you're logging in from. Wherever you are. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Can I get as many of you all to share that will share? I mean, you're like, where are you? I'm in the woods. I went to get away for a couple of days before this conference to get my mind right and to pray about some things. So can I get as many of you all that will share to share? What up? Speak to me as you come in. What up? What up? So guys, I don't want to be long, but I want to, you're going to hear from me leading up to the conference. As you all know, this Thursday and Friday, the 19th and the 20th, is the One Conference. And in the One Conference, we talked to Bishop Joseph Walker. We talked to Pastor Cheryl Brady. We talked to the young lady from Facebook, and Nona. And so now we want to talk to Wilfredo. Y'all can't say that name like that. Wilfredo De Jesùs. Pastor Choco is what we call him. Let's bring him up right now.
My brother John.
What's happening, man? How are you?
What's up?
You had an amazing day yesterday.
We did. We did. To God be the glory, John. As
To
you and
God
I
be
always
the
say.
glory.
To God
So
be the
you
glory.
spoke at Lakewood for Pastor Joe Osteen, right?
I spoke at Lakewood, and the surprising thing, John, was that he sat through both services, him and his wife.
Really?
I thought he was gone out of town and I was going to pinch hit. No, the brother was in the house.
Wow.
He was there, both services. And
Wow.
it was amazing. What a great honor, John.
Right. So for those that don't know, Pastor Choco is from Chicago, born and raised on the north side of Chicago in the Humble Park community.
Hood.
In the hood. In the
hood.
heart of the hood. And what's amazing, just for some history, is that he and I were both doing youth ministry at the same time. And we connected when I was doing the youth conference, IYSBC, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
That is years ago. You were the youth pastor of your father-in-law's church, known as the Pilsen
Palestine Christian Temple.
Palestine Christian Temple.
That's right.
And you moved from being this youth pastor to being the senior pastor.
That's correct. In the year 2000, he retired after 35 years, but you came around in 98, I think, or 99. You came around at that time.
At the time that he was ending and bringing you on.
That's correct. That transition, the Lord brought you in the middle of a transition. Come on, man. That's some good
Because I actually did. I preached your sermon.
You did. You did. The transition sermon.
The transition sermon.
And you were the first African.
I was the first African-American to preach at this church. Not knowing that I would eventually end up being there under you and serving you. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
It's crazy.
So the word that you've been given to speak from at the conference is to reconnect.
That's right.
Because there's so many people that feel disconnected. Disconnected. And I'm a firm believer, Choco, that you cannot do this thing on your own.
You cannot. You cannot. And I totally agree with you, John. It is so crucial, and for those that are listening, to have brothers that you can connect with and be able to go into this journey. That's why for so long, John, 20-some years, you and I have connected in the spirit realm, we become brothers here on earth. But in the spirit realm, that's even more crucial, that we honor one another. We're not in competition with one another. I honor you, you honor me, and this is how it works.
And it is amazing because we're very close in age.
Yeah.
Are we the same age, Choco?
Well, I'm 56.
I'm older than you.
You're my older brother.
I never thought that I was older than you. I'm only old about 1 year. You turned 56 this year?
I turned 57 in August.
Okay. I turned 58 in November, so we're good. All right. So, Choco, let's talk about the being connected, reconnecting. Because sometimes when you feel disconnected, the question is then, who do I connect with now? And I don't want to get too deep into our thing, but just divine connection. Here I came to you, and I want to say this to everyone that feels disconnected. He's going to pour about reconnecting and certain things that you should look for. One of the things that I find amazing is I just started showing up at your church without saying anything a Sunday morning, which was so not me.
You were sitting there with Hannah, and I saw you, and I'm like, what is John doing in the Puerto Rican community? He's from the South Side. And I did a beeline after service to find you, like, bro. That's how we talk in Chicago. Bro, what are you doing here?
And I was like, just give me a minute. I'll explain it to you later. And I kept coming. And every time they would look for me, what would I be? On the altar.
You were, bro, from the beginning of worship. From the beginning of worship, we knew John was going to be there for hours. It was just weeping, worshiping. And that's what I love about you, John, is your connection. You, regardless of where the Lord took you out of, you still connected to the Lord and into your giftedness of praying and worshiping. But every service,
I stayed
John
on that altar.
Crossing his legs, he was sitting and just weeping before the Lord.
Because I was looking for clarity. I was looking for direction. Because I knew what was in me. I knew what was in me. And the thing is, where are you going to take me with all of this in me? That is that. And there's some of you all that are listening right there. There is so much in you, but you can't deliver your own baby.
No. And John, many people that follow you, they know you're a gifted leader, but they should also know that you were willing to connect to what God had in the North Side and in my ministry. That you were not willing, you were not jealous, and you were not trying to compete, and that you were willing to connect you and Hannah to the ministry and the vision of what God had for you. And you were searching, and you had to trust somebody with your sword, with your word, with your gift, your talent, your marriage. And the Lord brought you to Chicago, brought you to the North Side, Humble Park, to be with us. And boy, what God has done, to God be the glory. However, what people need to understand is the process that you went through for several years. You submitted, John. You submitted to what I asked you after you laid down your sword. You submitted to what I asked. And I don't want to give away, but I'm going to be teaching something I've never taught before in your conference. I am pulling it out of the life of Paul and the church of Ephesus, talking about reconnecting. It would be the first time I'm going to be teaching on this reconnecting. So those who are viewing, make sure you sign up, because you're going to get a word. I'm going to give you some principles, so how you can stay connected and the importance of that.
Right. I just want to say to everyone, I believe that everything that we go through is for a reason. And I believe that the process or the path that God took me down, and it was a pain, it was unfamiliar territory. If I could just say this, how do I come from the South Side? I live on the South Side, and God said, get up, drive all the way north, where no one knows you like that. And you are to sit in this church, and you are to submit. And I was the first African-American that preached in your church. I was the first African-American that you anointed as a pastor in your church, which scared me. And I want to go here. We're gonna go more into detail at the conference, because there's so many of you all. You
Yeah.
cannot, and I want to say this as loud as I can. You cannot do this on your own. You're going to have to trust somebody. You're gonna have to.
This is so crucial. The trust factor, and you and I build that, John, because we did things together. And if anybody's taking notes, if you're going to go into an alley and you're going to do ministry together, then start somewhere. And John and I started doing tag teaming and preaching. We started feeling each other this way. And I would say one point, and remember the story of Moses? We were preaching on Moses,
Right.
and we were connecting this way. But what were we doing, John? What were we doing in the spirit realm? We were kind of getting a word for each other and getting comfortable. That is so crucial of the importance of being able to be able to transfer over a message to give John to finish it off. I started something, John finished it. John started, I finished it. And that's how we was connecting in the spirit realm to the rest of history.
And another thing, Choco, that I felt that God was doing, I was so used to being a evangelist that I was not used to being a pastor.
Yeah.
So you would preach from the seat of a pastor, but
Yeah.
I am this evangelist, and I would preach from the seat of an evangelist when there needed to be a transferring.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the day that you said to me, you said, John, you're an amazing speaker, but you're speaking from the seat of an evangelist and not from the seat of a pastor. You're going to have to cut this food up. You're going to have to chop this bread up, chop this meat up, and feed God's people. That was a whole nother seat, a whole nother challenge. And so I wanted to bring him up here. And on the day that he speaks, we're going to go deep into detail about this connection. And I'll say that everyone that is listening to me, it was difficult for me to trust again.
Yeah.
It was difficult for me to humble myself and lay my gift, lay my calling, lay my ministry at the feet of another person, another man, when I had laid it at the feet of someone for 19 years.
Yeah. Yeah. John, I remember that day you were preaching in church in the north side. And I was sitting in the front. And then you just broke out into weeping. We were running several services.
Right.
And you were preaching. And then you bring me up. You bring Anna up. And I'm like freaking out because you didn't do this at the other services.
Right.
I'm like, what is John doing? And all of a sudden you kneel down in front of me. And so did Anna. You guys knelt down and you said, I lay down my sword before you. Do whatever you want with it. And that broke. And boy, that, for those that are watching and listening, we're going more deep about what happened, what occurred. But just, we'll know this, that if you're going to connect with somebody, you're going to have to trust them.
You have to trust.
Yeah.
And we struggle in a world right now that people struggle with trust.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just want to say to everyone that is listening, everybody does not have the spirit of Saul. Everybody does not have the spirit of Saul. Everybody's not going to throw a dagger at you. Everybody's not trying to pin you against the wall. Everybody's not intimidated with your future. Everybody. And one of the things Choco said to me was, I see what is on you. I see what is in you. It does not scare me. It does not intimidate me. But as a matter of fact, I'm going to plant it. Stop right there. But I wasn't ready for plant. I wasn't.
No, you weren't ready. I mean, you were, like I said, you said earlier, you were dropping bombs like an evangelist.
I'm out of here.
I'm like, hey, John, these are broken sheep. You need to love them. You need to abandon them. You come in and boom, boom. Whoa. You got to put oil on them. You got to wrap up their broken legs. You got to take care of these people. And I said to you, John, and you were very, very teachable, obedient, and servant. I will not plant you as a pastor until you get a pastor's heart.
That was deep.
It was divine, John, because I never did that again.
I know.
I only did one time.
But you know what, Choco? I believe it's because it was the fast pace that we had to go in.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like you had Rico there, you had Ephraim there, you had guys that were there before me. But you were saying to me, John, I need to move you up. I need to anoint you as a pastor. And I'll never forget the day I was like, Choco, hold on, wait a minute. What are you going to do about these guys, Rico? What are you going to do about even them? They were here before me. And you said to me, don't worry about them. They're kingdom minded. They're good. Don't
They're
worry
fine.
about them.
They're
And for
good.
some of you all, and this is key, you can't get the oil until you submit.
Yes, yes.
Some of y'all want to just come in the door and be anointed. I'm going to have to start all over again. And to be very, 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 very honest and transparent, there was a part of me that did feel like, man, I'm about to start all over again. But I didn't start all over again.
No. You were at another level, and God needed you. And listen to for those that are watching, God needed you to accelerate your graduation. We didn't have 10 years. You needed to accelerate. And boy, I remember I sent you on the assignment, John. I told you need to go out and feed the homeless people. And that was only part of the assignment. Then you have to give them Bible study for 7 minutes. Then you got to get in the van and go find the homeless people.
That was crazy to me.
After you worked 8 or 10 hours.
I worked at juvenile court. I would come, go upstairs, go to the church, lay down, take a nap, get up, go to the men's shelter at 9 p.m. when they open the doors, greet the men. Now, mind you guys, I was evangelizing. I was preaching in front of thousands. In this shelter was no more than 16 to 20 men. I would have to stand there, wait on them to take their beds out, then go in the kitchen, fix their food, feed them, and then your words to me were, you ought to give them a 3 to 5 minute devotion.
That's right.
A 3 to 5 minute devotion. I would preach to them, feed them, and then when we get done with that, we're going to go back in this kitchen, we're going to make some sandwiches, we're going to get in a van, and we're going to drive through Humboldt Park, and we're going to go up under viaducts, and we're going to find people who are hungry, and we're going to witness to them, and we're going to feed them. I'm like, what am I doing?
Hey, John, as you're talking right now, John, I'm thinking that God was reconnecting you to the original flight plan that God had for you. You're talking about reconnection. We're going to do that on this week, but this is essentially was the beginning of reconnecting to the main purpose that God had for you of becoming a pastor. And you did it. John, you did it every Thursday.
Every Thursday for over a year.
You didn't call in sick. You didn't say, hey, Choco, I'm tired. No.
No, and I just say to people, you want the elevation without the process.
Yes, yes.
And some of you all, what am I trying to say to you? If you get into this conference, we're going to talk about how do you trust? How do you reconnect? How do you make sure that you're laying your sword down in front of the right person? One of the things that the Lord said to me, and I want everyone to hear me, when I left St. James, Pastor Bishop Willie James Campbell, a man that I love who raised me, I vowed, and the Lord said to me, I'm not going to send you to someone to be their trophy. Because some people just want to say, look who I got. Look who I got. But I'm going to send you to someone who's going to see what's in you and do what I tell them to do. So I had to trust the Lord, and I had to submit to that process.
Well, the kingdom got bigger, John, when you obeyed, and the kingdom got wider when you were planted. There was no need to keep you at the Northside campus, knowing that God had this amazing ministry for your life, and it had to be planted. It's the seed that's connected to the soil. I'm telling you, those that you need to come, because it's a new teaching that I'm going to give you that's going to blow your mind. So you need to come to this conference. This is the first time John and I are going to talk about this in depth this way with the new teaching about reconnecting. But John, if it would have not been possible, seriously, no smoke on this, it would have never been possible if you did not have a teachable spirit. It took you a couple years.
It did.
It wasn't easy.
And we'll go into that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody that won't think that I just walked in the door and fell on my knees. I didn't.
No.
And there was a part of me that was rebellious. There was a part of me that was fighting until I got tired of fighting. Yeah. That is when I finally broke and said, you know what? I'm done.
And all these temptations coming your way throughout the years. And I'm saying, John, that's not for you. John, that's not for you. We'll talk more about that on this week. But listen, y'all, it was 4 years. He knelt down, and him and his wife at the end when he said, I'm surrendering. It's over. It is whatever you want to do. But it was a couple years of him fighting trying to search, and did he trust me with his gift, and can we be able to plant this? But at the end of it, to God be the glory. You see the fruit of it, John. You see the fruit of it.
And I want to go, we're going to talk about this, and then we're going to let you guys go, how to keep the connection.
Yeah.
Like, I am so sick of people cutting cords that are never supposed to be cut. Like, one of the things that Pastor Choco and I said, and I want everybody to hear me, sheep are messy.
Messy.
They are messy. And when I got ready to leave, some of his members were like, I'm going with you. I was like, no, you're not, because I don't steal sheep. You're going right back. And if anybody popped up at my church, I would call him and be like, Choco, so-and-so is over here. But then there were certain people that he sent to me and say, John, I'm sending them here because they need to be up under your ministry. But we made it our business. And I want every leader and every pastor to hear a decision that we made. And our decision was that we will never allow sheep to come between shepherds.
That's right. And we did that for years, even to now.
Right there.
Even
to now.
Even today, we honor each other this way. When I hear stuff, I don't listen to it. I know my brother John. I know his heart. We marked each other's sheep while they were in there, because people were coming. People were coming. The Lord was sending people that were going to be part of this launch that we didn't even know, but eventually it was going to happen. But when it did happen, we separated and we blessed it. And we even sent some from the mother church. At that time, we used to call it the mother church. And as of today, to God be the glory. John, I love you like a brother. You have been faithful. The church has been faithful to the mother church all these years, all these 17 years, or is it? Yes, 17
years.
Every month. And for those who are listening, because some people may not know this about you, John, and Southeast, every month a check comes to the mother church, because John called me one day and said, Choco, I believe in tithing. I believe in sowing. And so our church is going to sow to the mother church. And I'm like, wow. I said, John, I didn't ask you. And he said, I know you didn't, but I believe in it.
And that's another thing. You never asked for anything from me. You took me to the bank. You helped me open up my first bank account. You paid my first 3 months rent. And you was like, okay, but I believe in tithing. Amen. And I say that respectfully. We teach tithing, but we don't tithe. And as a church, I said we have to tithe back. And for 17 years, we've been faithful in tithing. And I just say to anyone that's listening, you have to stay and be connected.
Amen.
It is not, and I'm not talking about connecting to witchcraft. I'm not talking about connecting to manipulation. I'm not talking about connecting to control. I need you to hear me and hear my heart. He's never manipulated me. He's never tried to control me. As a matter of fact, he's only been a blessing to me. And we're going to let you guys, now watch me. It was bigger than just planning a church. It was so much bigger than that. If I were to be honest, 100% honest, it was this man that basically introduced me to the world. Because when I began to preach for his conference, people from around the world were sitting in there. So because I preached for him, I got invited to Peru. Because I preached for him, I got invited to Australia. When I ended up in Australia, I got invited to Malaysia. I mean, but there has to be a runway. But it has to be a connection. So for those of y'all that feel disconnected, for those of y'all that feel as if God has forgotten about you, for those of y'all that feel like, man, I missed my timing. I was 40 years old when this man planted me.
Jen, listen, before you let the people go, one of the things that you've always taught me was one man's obedience
is
connected
to so many destinies.
Come on now. So if you're listening, I hope you register for the conference, because you need to be connected. Some of you are under the leadership of Pastor John Hanna, and he's mentoring you. One man's obedience is connected to so many destinies, and that alone is a sermon of itself.
All right, guys. So I want you to go to pastors1conference.com. And if you use Choco 10, you can get the discount.
Come on. Yes. Get the discount.
It's going to be Thursday and Friday. And guess what? Even if you can't, it's physical and virtual. Every pastor that could get here, every leader that could get here, I'm encouraging you to get to this city. You need to stand in our church. Choco walked with me the entire time that this building was being built. And everybody, I called it, you need to come and stand on a miracle.
Yes.
When he built his church, what was that? Right there.
That's right.
Here I am. What is it? Connections.
That's right. That's right.
So go to pastorsOneConference.com. Use the word Choco10, and you can get the 10% discount. It's going to be this Thursday, this Friday. It's going to be amazing. You say, well, I have to work. Then what? I tell you what, if you register, it's going to be left up in a special place for you for, I think, like 10 days or more. We just need to get you registered. Again, go to pastorsOneConference.com, and the code word is Choco10. I love you, man.
Love
Keep
you,
doing
man.
your thing.
Thank you. Love you, John, and look forward to
life.
seeing all the pastors there.
We connected for life. And I always tell him that we are connected for life. All right, guys, I can't beg you, but I do my best to try to get you to do what needs to be done. For everyone that feels like you're out here by yourself, for everyone that feels like you're out here alone, for everyone feels like, God, who do I trust with all of this? This is a place that you need to be. There are people who I know that God has ordained to speak into your life. Pastor Karan, I love you. Pastor Jerome Cook, I saw you on here. I love you. There's so many of you all. We have to make it happen. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Log on. Go to pastorsOneConference.com. Code word Choco10, and you can register. All right. Holla. Deuces. Pray my strength.